In Tovshin Lamed, which is 1970, terrorists hijacked a plane and took it to Jordan. And it stayed there for a long time. In this plane was also a famous Rosh Yeshiva and Rav, Harav Hutner. This Harav Hutner, Hatzal Gikocht, was very much involved in the Maral Miprog Svarim. He even had a kollel in Crown Heights called Kollel Gur Aryeh, because the Maral's Sefer and Rashi is called Gur Aryeh, so he called his kollel Gur Aryeh because he was much involved in the Maral's Sefer, Svarim Bechlal. So Shabbos, Parshas Kisovek, Chai Elul, Tovshin Lamed, the Rebbe spoke about it. The Rebbe said that besides Chai Elul being the Yom Haledes, the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, it's also the Yom Histalkus, the Yortzeit of the Maral Miprog. So he said, so the schus of the Maral Miprog, especially on this day, is so strong, it could help a person who is involved in the Maral Svarim. Especially that Chassidim say, he says he didn't hear it from the Frierdiker Rebbe, but Chassidim say that when the Alter Rebbe writes in the beginning of Tanya and the Shabbalat that he took it mipli Svarim, mipli Seifrim, it goes on the Maral Svarim. And the Rebbe says it makes sense because in the Shalshelas Hayichas that the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote in the Gate Alter Rebbe, he goes back all the way to the Maral, as it says also in the Sefer HaZechrenis of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe told that he was in Prague once, and he went up to the Beidim, to the attic of the shul there, where the remains of the Maral Miprog, put the remains of the Golem there. And the Rebbe said, I told this story once, and now he told it over again. And he says, since today is the Yom HaIstalkus, the Maral Miprog, and the day of Istalkus, the Aveda that he did his whole lifetime goes up, it all comes together. So Yom HaMeil Niskorim Benasim. So the father's chus is great that it could help somebody who is involved in the Maral Svarim. And just like by the Maral, he did miracles, even miracles, Lamaila, Mederach HaTeva. If he needed a nes, he did a nes. And he was involved with kings, etc., etc. So too, in this case, the Eibusher could help that if it's needed a nes, it should be a nes and should free the people, or the person, I don't remember which Lashon he said, that are involved in the Maral Sfarim. This is what the Rebbe said on Shabbos Parshas Kisov Tovshin Lamed. Not long after that, actually, B'derech Nes, they freed the hijackers, freed the people, and this Harav Hutner was also freed at that time. And it was obvious that it was connected to what the Rebbe said, because the Rebbe spoke about it openly. He didn't mention his name, but he spoke openly about the person who's involved in the Maral Sfarim. So obviously we knew he meant him. Everyone knew it meant him, even though the Rebbe didn't mention my name. And right not long after that, he was actually freed, B'derech Nes. So it's connected to this. Now, not only do we assume it's connected to this, but I heard later from Harav Zev Katz that he has a cousin which is called Rav Fishman, who is an Eidim by Rebbe Avram Ziskin, the famous Rebbe Avram Ziskin, who was the Reish HaKelel by the in 770, and he was a big Lamdan. So he had an Eidim called Harav Fishman, who was the head of Teirem Seira, who was a Talmud of Rav Hutner. He learned the Chaim Berlin. So after he was freed, so Reb Zev Katz told me that his cousin, Rav Fishman, told him that Rav Chadakov called him and told him, are you aware that the Rebbe spoke about it before on Shabbos Parshas Kisov, Shabbos Chayel? And this is the schus, what got him actually freed. He wanted to make him aware. Now, we don't know if the Rebbe asked him to call him or not, but Lepel, we see it was very clear that this was a mephus of the Rebbe, that the Rebbe spoke about him, and that schus, that the Rebbe, the schus of the Maral, the Rebbe brought it out, that got him freed. And this was in the Fabringen of Shabbos Parshas Kisov, Tovshin Lamed.